Now we start with US and China. US President Donald Trump has said that Chinese President Xi Jinping has more or less agreed to accelerate and increase China's purchases of US goods. Trump has said that he pressed Xi during a phone call to boost the pace and volume of these purchases. Let's listen into what was said.
Content to your talks?
Mostly trade.
Trade.
I spoke to President Xi about a lot of things, but trade and buying our farm products, and he said he agreed with me. I think he's gonna very much surprise you on the upside. I asked him, I'd like you to buy it a little faster. I'd like you to buy more, and he's more or less agreed to do that. I think we will be pleasantly surprised by the actions of President Xi. I have a good relationship, great relationship with him. I like him, he likes me. I'm going to be going there in April. I guess you'll all be going with me, but I'm going to be going to China in April.
In a related development, China has purchased at least 10 cargoes of U.S. soybeans. These deals, which involve shipments scheduled for January, comes as U.S.-China trade relations show signs of improvement. China has also resumed soybean imports and rolled back some of its previously expanded restrictions on rare earth exports. Now for this discussion, we welcome Mr. Matthew Wadham. He's an American journalist, joins us live from Washington. Thank you very much, Matthew, for joining us again. Good to see you.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Matthew, looking at this, what can U.S. export to China? As we know, China can export a lot of things to U.S. And how long do you think this kind of easing down on tensions, trade tensions between U.S. and China would stay? Do you think this will suddenly go back to how earlier this year it was the tit-for-tat tariff situation?
I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I suspect that President Donald Trump is feeling pressure from soybean farmers here in the United States who were suffering because China started to boycott United States soybean products in retaliation against President Trump's tough tariff policy against the People's Republic of China. And maybe they've reached a turning point in their negotiations where both sides recognized that it was hurting their respective financial positions. President Trump was feeling it quite acutely here in the United States because the soybean farmers had been complaining that they'd been losing a lot of business, and there is now a proposal. The details of it have not been finalized, but President Trump wants to put together an aid package to help soybean farmers who have been hurt by China's boycott of their products. So, you know, President Trump was feeling a lot of, getting a cold here. President Trump was feeling a lot of pressure domestically to do something about this, and it looks like he did something. And I imagine he's not going to want to upset the soybean farmers in the United States who suddenly have had their access to Chinese markets restored. So I would expect that to continue for a while. Now, whether this leads to an opening up of Chinese markets in other products has yet to be seen. And I think we're going to have to wait a few days to see what happens on that front.
Right. And building on that, Matthew, don't you think that depending on China this heavily, not just for U.S.'s soybean farmers, as you mentioned, that they are suffering because of what China did in stopping or halting or slowing down on the purchases of the, don't you think this is not a long-term solution?
Well, ultimately, having trade agreements is a long-term solution, but President Trump has discarded a lot of that and wanted to ramp up his tariffs policy since his second term began in January of this year. So really the best way to accomplish lasting stability, economic stability, is to have trade agreements between the two countries. And I'm not sure what progress they're going to make there, but since Trump is now, at least on soybeans and probably a few other products that China purchases, and is quite dependent on, I imagine you may see trade deals on some products with China. Perhaps this could lead to a thawing of relations between the two countries with respect to trade. But this is just one small area of trade, and I'm not sure how far it's going to carry over into other areas of trade. But it is, I think there is reason to be optimistic at this point
Right.
that there is a thawing of trade relations between the U.S. and China,
Yes, indeed.
that it's taking place.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for emphasizing that and sharing that insight. That was Matthew Adam. Now we move on to